Have you ever noticed that in certain accents of Spanish, particularly in the Caribbean, people tend to replace the L sound with an R? So for example, in the Dominican Republic, you might hear somebody say cardo instead of caldo.
Más flaco, pero cualquiera me alzaba.
Dicho que deje el arco.
Well, this has a name, and it's actually called rotacismo, which is the opposite of something that we talked about before, lambdacismo. Whereas lambdacismo, where you're replacing an R with an L sound, like in Puerto Rico, rotacismo is the opposite, so saying cardo instead of caldo. And where does this root back to, my friends? As always, Andalusia and the Canary Islands of Spain. Now, these two particular regions of Spain have a really unique Spanish, which is a whole nother video for a whole nother day, but they were the first Spaniards that actually made a presence in Latin America, and the territory of the Caribbean were the first to be conquered by Spain. Because of their natural isolation as islands, the way that these accents have developed over time are really interesting. But long story short, those first Spaniards that brought their Spanish over to the isolated islands of the Caribbean had that influence over the Spanish that was then spoken, combined with the influence of native and African languages. Now, rotacismo is really interesting because it kind of does the opposite thing of what you typically imagine of like a Puerto Rican accent would do. It replaces the R and the L sound, meaning that instead of having your tongue back like in a typical L sound, they bring it more forward, creating almost like an R sound when they use the letter L. Now, I'm not great at imitating this, but for example, sol might be more like sor. But another interesting thing about this accent phenomenon, that it's one of the great reasons why people say that people from the Caribbean tend to talk with a papa en la boca, aka they have like a potato in their mouth when they talk. It sounds very loose. That looseness when they speak and the elision of many sounds in the Caribbean accents is mostly due to our friends in Andalusia. The more you know.